In this video, we will review requisitions or commitment invoices for Procore's contractor clients. We'll begin at the Commitments tool. The Commitments tool has two main subtabs, Commitments List and Billings. Commitments List summarizes all commitments regardless of status. Billings shows all commitments in approved or complete status and the corresponding requisition invitation and requisition statuses, contract amounts, percent complete, current payment due, and payment status for the billing period. The list defaults to the most recent billing period. To access a previous billing period, we can use the billing period filter and select the appropriate billing period from the dropdown. We can view each commitment's requisition list by clicking on the commitment number. This takes us to the commitment where we can navigate to the requisition subtab to review and edit a requisition or create a requisition on the subcontractor's behalf. Alternatively, if a requisition has been created, we can click on the requisition status, which will take us to that specific requisition. Now let's review the configure settings for requisitions for all commitments. In the default distribution section, we can add users to the requisition distribution. In the default contract settings section, we can adjust some retention settings. By navigating to requisition settings on the right, we can adjust other requisition settings. You can learn more about all these settings in our Commitments Configuration Settings video. Back in the Billings subtab, let's select a commitment to review the advanced settings. Let's navigate to the Advanced Settings subtab for this commitment. In the Requisition Settings section, we can enable or disable requisitions, completed work retainage, and stored material retainage for this commitment. These are the same settings we touched on under the Configure Contract Settings setup, but changing them here will only change them for this particular commitment. Under Progress Billing Change Order Formatting, select the level of detail to display for change orders. This setting is for display purposes only, both within Procore and on the requisition PDF. The amount billed for each change order will always be entered at the lowest level of detail, which is the line item level. If you prefer to review change order billed amounts for this commitment at a granular level, we recommend you select the line item level. Or if you prefer to review change order billed amounts for this commitment at an overview level, we recommend you select the commitment change order level. Regardless of which level is selected here, we will be able to expand or collapse each change order level within each requisition to temporarily override the setting when viewing the requisition within Procore. Under Requisition Billing Distribution, select the subcontractor's person or people that will be involved in the requisition process. This distribution list will receive the requisition invitation email, the requisition reminder emails if enabled, and an email when the status of a requisition is updated to revise and resubmit. Any user added here will be automatically added to the private section of this commitment, which we'll review next. Let's save to update our settings. Now let's navigate to the General subtab to review who has access to this commitment. Here on the General subtab, the private section shows the read-only or standard level users that have access to this commitment. The users added to the requisition billing distribution we just reviewed under the Advanced Settings subtab are automatically added to this list. We can add additional users here if they need access to the commitment in order to view, create, or edit requisitions, but do not need to receive requisition-related emails. Now that we've reviewed and adjusted our settings, let's jump into the Billing subtab to start our requisition process. The first step is to start a new billing period by clicking the orange button on the right. This step is required for any user to create a requisition. The billing period is intended to be the date range used on the payment application with your client. The requisition dates can be different than the billing period dates, which we'll review in a bit. The dates are populating from the configure settings we previously touched on, and the month defaults to the current month per the project's time zone. We can modify as necessary. If you did not enable the option for pre-filled billing periods under configure settings, these three fields will be blank and you can enter appropriate dates. Our list has been updated to show the new billing period. The next step is to send invitations to subcontractors to notify them to submit a requisition. First, let's select which commitments we want to invite to submit a requisition. We can either select individual commitments or we can select the checkbox at the top of the list to select all commitments. Remember that only commitments in approved or complete status appear in this list. If no users were included in the requisition billing distribution for a commitment, the requisition status will show no billing recipients, and that commitment cannot be selected for an invitation. To add billing recipients, click the No Billing Recipients link to access the Advanced Settings subtab for that commitment. Let's click the Send Invites button on the right to send the invitation emails. Now that we have issued our invitations, the requisition status has been updated from Not Invited to Invited. It is not necessary to send invitations to subcontractors in order for them to create and submit a requisition. However, the invitation provides a notification and reminders, if enabled, for the subcontractor to help ensure they submit their requisitions on time. Now we're ready for the subcontractors to create and submit their requisitions, which they can review in a separate video. Let's circle back to our billing periods. As multiple billing periods are created through the project, we can review the list of billing periods under the Billing Periods view link on the right. The billing periods are ordered by when they were created, regardless of the period start and period end dates. Subcontractors can only create a requisition for the billing period with the status of open and only if the due date has not passed. Users with admin permissions, however, can create a requisition on behalf of a subcontractor for any period at any time. The period start, period end, and due dates can be edited. All cells with the blue triangle in the top right corner are inline editable within all of Procore's tools. You can also change the billing period status. However, you must first close the open billing period in order to change a closed billing period to open. Now let's jump back into our billing subtab by selecting the Requisitions view link on the right. When we sent the invitations and subcontractors selected No from the invitation, the status updated from Invited to Declined. When subcontractors selected Yes from the invitation but did not create a requisition, the status updated from Invited to Accepted. If we did not send invitations to subcontractors, the status will remain Not Invited until a requisition is created. Invitation statuses are updated automatically by the billing recipient's response to the invitation. When a subcontractor created a requisition but did not yet submit it for review, the status updated to Draft, which still allows the subcontractor to edit the requisition even after the due date has passed. When a subcontractor submitted a requisition for review, the status updated to Review, which indicates we are reviewing the requisition and the subcontractor can no longer edit it unless we change the status to Revise and Resubmit. We can click on the requisition status, which will take us to that specific requisition to review and edit. Regardless of the status, users with admin permissions can edit the requisition. The requisition status and dates can be edited at any time, but only the most current requisition amounts can be edited. If a subcontractor submits the requisition outside of Procore, we can create the requisition in Procore on their behalf. Let's navigate to the commitment by selecting the commitment number link. Now let's create the requisition by clicking the button on the right. The billing period defaults to the most recently created billing period, but we can select a previously created billing period. We can enter the subcontractor's invoice number for reference. The requisition start and end dates default to the billing period dates, but you can edit as necessary. For example, if this particular subcontractor bills twice per month, you can modify the requisition end date to be through the 15th of the month. The billing date defaults to the due date, but you can edit as necessary. For example, you can log the date on the subcontractor's invoice or the date you received the invoice from the subcontractor. The status defaults to Draft. Let's review the additional status options. Under Review indicates we are reviewing the requisition. If the subcontractor created this requisition, Procore automatically updates the status to Under Review when they submit the requisition. Revise and Resubmit allows the subcontractor to revise the requisition. Pending Owner Approval indicates the requisition is pending the project owner's approval. Approved or Approved as Noted indicates the requisition has been approved. Only two statuses allow the subcontractor to edit the requisition: Draft and Revise and Resubmit. Let's update to Under Review. Let's attach their backup documentation, such as lien releases or waivers, and then save the requisition. Now that we've completed the summary information for the requisition, Procore has taken us to the Detail subtab to enter the amounts. The requisition schedule of values is linked to the commitment schedule of values. The breakdown included in the commitment is the same breakdown that appears in the requisition. We can enter either their work complete for this period or their total percent complete for each line item. If the commitment is unit quantity based in lieu of amount based, you'll enter the quantity of units in lieu of the dollar value for work completed. You can also enter materials presently stored amounts. Amounts entered in materials presently stored will remain in this column on future requisitions until they are manually moved to work completed this period. Approved commitment change orders are added to the bottom of the requisition. The change orders are expanded or collapsed per the setting in this commitment's advanced settings subtab, which we previously reviewed. Regardless of that setting, you can expand or collapse as necessary. The entry and editing of the values within the requisition will always occur at the lowest level of detail. If the retainage percent was previously set in either Configure Contract Settings or this commitment's General or Advanced Settings subtab, the retained this period percent is populating from those settings. You can edit each requisition's line item retainage percent or amount as necessary. Let's save the requisition. Now that we've saved the requisition, let's review the Summary subtab. At the top, the Summary subtab shows general information we previously reviewed. Below, Procore summarizes the commitment and billing summary. Regardless of who created the requisition, us or the subcontractor, we can edit the requisition. Most of these Summary subtab fields can be edited at any time, including the status, but the Details subtab amounts can only be edited for the most current requisition. The subcontractor can also edit the requisition, regardless of who created it, if the status is Draft or Revise and Resubmit. Back in the Billing subtab, the Requisition Status column reflects the status of the requisition. The percent complete shows the updated total percent complete, and the current payment due reflects the amounts from the requisition. Now we're ready to log payments to the subcontractor, which we review in a separate video. This concludes our review of requisitions. Thanks for watching.